Associated with aging. Today, more than 24 million Americans age 40 and older are living with cataracts. And joining us now is Dr. Lawrence Woodard, is a board-certified ophthalmologist. It's good to see you, Dr. Woodard. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Casey. Thank you very much for having me.
We appreciate your time, and we want to get your perspective, too. For cataracts, some people, I'm sure a lot of people have heard what cataracts are, but really, what are cataracts? What are they doing to our eyes?
Well, cataracts are actually a very common problem that many people experience over the course of their lifetime. And cataract actually represents a clouding of the natural lens inside the eye due to ultraviolet light exposure over the course of our lifetime. So this is significant because cataracts really affect an individual's quality of life. In a recent survey by Alcon of 1,300 individuals who are over the age of 60 who had undergone cataract surgery, 3 out of 4 of those individuals reported a significant improvement in their quality of life and a greater appreciation for life after cataract surgery compared to before. So this is a very prevalent problem that we now have good solutions for.
Talk about those solutions and the surgery and how people go about it in just a second. But first, you said it's caused by ultraviolet rays. So what are some things that people can be doing today to protect their eyes from getting cataracts later in life?
Well, certainly ultraviolet protection from the sun by wearing sunglasses. Even if it doesn't appear to be very bright outside, there's still ultraviolet light in the atmosphere. So anytime we're outside, we advise wearing UV protected sunglasses at all times.
Let's talk about the cataract surgery and how that is transforming lives, what it entails, and then what is the prognosis after the surgery as far as one's vision is concerned?
Well, cataract surgery is actually a wonderful procedure. And in that same survey, over 93% of individuals actually would recommend cataract surgery. And that's because the surgery is very short, only 5 to 6 minutes in most cases. And it improves the individual's quality of life by removing that cloudy lens and replacing it with a lens implant. That lens implant can actually correct for astigmatism and decrease a person's dependency on glasses. Which is one of the reasons it's such a wonderful procedure, because people experience much more improvement and enjoyment in their day-to-day activities.
Sure, when their vision is so restricted going into it and then literally having the veil lifted off their eyes so they're able to see once again. I mean, I'm sure that's transforming a lot of lives. What are some of the pitfalls or some of the things, maybe not pitfalls, but some of the advice that you would give to somebody as far as any potential negatives that would come as a result of getting cataract surgery? What should we be asking our ophthalmologists and optometrists?
Well, in this survey, actually, you brought up a good point. 4 out of 10 African Americans actually reported being apprehensive about cataract surgery because they were worried they would lose their vision or lose their ability to see as well as they currently do. And that's really just not the case, because this surgery is one of the most commonly performed procedures in the United States with a great outcome. So there really isn't any reason to be worried about the results because it's such a successful procedure.
Well, that's good news to hear for a lot of people, I'm sure, who are nervous about obviously aging and getting potential cataracts, and those who are suffering from cataracts, yes, knowing that there's literally a light at the end of the tunnel. It's so good to see you. Do you have a good website, Dr. Woodard, for people who are watching to go to perhaps do a little information research on their own?
Yes, for people to learn more about cataracts and our treatment options for it, I recommend people go to My Cataracts, that's plural, mycataracts.com, or the phone number 1-844-MY-CATARACT.
Dr. Woodard, thank you so much, sir. And we appreciate Alcon for sponsoring the segment. We'll be right back.